Florida State has a five-star target committing on Saturday, and rumors are flying with this one. Where will KJ Bolden commit on Saturday night, and will that be the end of his recruitment? We've got some insight that we'll share in just a moment, but KJ was in Auburn, Alabama this weekend, and his quotes while on that visit and just following that visit were pretty over the top positive in regards to the Tigers. It's got FSU fans a little concerned, a little worried, but we all know that Auburn has a crap ton of NIL money and they spend it to make the biggest possible splashes that are possible, which they've done by landing a couple of five stars this last week. It is quite apparent that Auburn rolled out the red carpet for KJ and did everything that they possibly could to make a great impression on the talented five-star safety. Is it enough for the Noles and their fans to be worried, though? Well, coming out of the visit, here's what he said. He said that he almost committed while visiting Auburn and that Auburn was now in his top two. He also said the last thing he was going to do before shutting it all down would be to call head coach Hugh Freeze. So that's it then, right? Auburn all the way, and UGA, FSU, and Ohio State should all just shut it down. Not so fast.
But not so fast, my friends.
Do me a favor before we go on and tell me where you think KJ Bolden commits on Saturday. Okay, listen, I'm not sure if you're new into recruiting, but recruits don't give that many hints, over the top hints, I might add, and then usually commit to that school 5 or 6 days later. I think that KJ was treated like an absolute king while on his visit at Auburn, and for two reasons, he gave those over-the-top statements and comments. Number one, I think he was being super nice. You're treated like absolute royalty. They roll out the red carpet for you. You're going to talk them up as much as you possibly can. Number two, I think he wants to build a little bit of suspense for his visit coming up. I think that people and kids especially like for there to be that element of surprise, and I think they like the fact that you really don't know what's happening heading into a commitment. Do I have to remind you, FSU fans, of what just happened over the last week with another five-star DB? Remember Charles Lester, who committed to the staff back on June 18th while he was on his official visit? He ended up setting a date a month later. He visited Colorado. He talked up Coach Prime and the Buffs and Bama and everyone else and seemingly downplayed FSU, at least to their fan base. He commented back on his Instagram Live, "I ain't no Nole," while out in Colorado all the time being silently committed to FSU. Now, I don't think that KJ is silently committed to the Noles or anywhere else, but I do think that he's playing up Auburn way more than the Noles fans like to hear. But ultimately, I'm not very concerned with Auburn in this recruitment. I think this is exactly the same thing that Lester did. And Auburn fans are still commenting on my Keldrick Falk video. And so if I'm wrong here, I'll certainly eat the crow. But I would be shocked if he commits to Auburn this Saturday. Things can change throughout the week. But as a word to the wise, you may want to stay off the Auburn message boards this week as well, as their writers give off big-time Ole Miss vibes, if you remember the Keon Coleman recruitment. So who gets KJ? Who is FSU's biggest competition for the five-star safety out of Buford, Georgia? Let me give some love to Gramco real quick, and then we'll talk about it. Listen, we've told you this before, but Gramco is an absolute leader in the Delta 8 field, and I told you guys to grab some after the Charles Lester commitment because of how it would have enhanced your celebration for that moment. Don't make that mistake this time. KJ is committing on Saturday night, and whether it's FSU or somewhere else, you're going to want to have your Gramco handy and have it ready to go. TJ25 at checkout. Get you some blue raspberry gummies. The green apple are also great, whatever flavor you're into. But I'm telling you, the blue raspberry gummies are special. thegramco.com, TJ25 at checkout. FSU's biggest competition for KJ is and always has been UGA. I know the Ohio State smoke was big at one time, but I just don't ever believe he was considering going there over the other schools that we just mentioned in the Dogs and Noles. Buford is less than an hour away from Athens, and it just sort of fits that a kid who has visited UGA as many times as he has would be a UGA lean and somebody that they're going to make a massive priority in their class. Add in the fact that what Kirby Smart and company are doing both on the trail and on the field, and you've got yourself a huge reason for UGA to feel very confident in KJ picking their school. But based on the folks I'm chatting with and the conversations that I've heard behind the scenes, 6 days away from his announcement, I still feel very good about where Florida State has put themselves. And I think that where they've put themselves is in a great position. I think the Noles have done a phenomenal job of getting him on campus several times here in the recent past and continuing to build that relationship with him. I think the strides they've made on the field have also helped an absolute ton. And I even think that landing Charles Lester a couple of days ago is huge for their chances with KJ as well. KJ grew up a Seminoles fan, and I truly do believe that he wants to be a Nole. Will that manifest in him picking FSU? We'll see. There's a lot that can go down, and there's a lot more that goes into these kids' decisions than just the colors that they wore growing up and the team they supported. But I do know this. I've been told by multiple people that UGA is not necessarily looking to get into a bidding war for KJ on the NIL front. Their vibe is more so come here and trust our process or go somewhere else. And if you want to make a bunch of money doing so, so be it. Will an ultra competitive NIL program in Tallahassee be enough to sway KJ away from the local favorites? When I say favorites, you look at the on-3 prediction indicator, and the Noles have continued to steadily rise over the last couple of weeks, and I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to rise all the way up until his commitment time. And it's interesting to note that KJ hasn't visited FSU, and no predictions have changed, but somehow the Noles just keep rising on the on-3 prediction machine. We'll see if that is continuing a trend this week. But will FSU's competitive landscape in the NIL world be able to pull them? I do know this. I've seen UGA fans complaining on both the On3 and 247 message boards about FSU's NIL. And I want to say that as FSU fans, we used to pray for times like this. I also saw it on the USC message boards when FSU pulled ITT this weekend. And I'm not sure I ever imagined that UGA and USC would be scared of our NIL efforts in Tallahassee. But if you're not a member of the Battle's End, you need to go sign up now to support the folks over there and the work that they're doing. What happens if KJ commits to FSU on Saturday? Will his recruitment be over at that point? Well, Charles Lester came out this weekend and said that he was 100% locked in and shut down and would sign with the Noles in December. Will KJ do the same? I know that schools like UGA and Auburn and even Ohio State to some degree will not stop fighting, but I think that KJ is ready for it to all be done. I've heard that from multiple people, and other teams will keep pushing, just like Florida State will keep pushing if they don't land him on Saturday. I think Auburn and UGA and Ohio State will continue to try to recruit a top 10 player in the country. And if Auburn throws an insane bag his way, or if UGA's season goes the way that many expect it will, and say Florida State's season doesn't go as well, yeah, there's a chance that he could flip somewhere else. But if the Noles get him on Saturday, I like their chances to hold on to him. And I like his chances to stay committed. I don't know that he'll come out like Charles Lester did the very next day and say, hey, I'm locked in. I'm 100% shut down. I am signing with the Noles in December. But Florida State fans certainly would not mind if KJ took that same approach. We've been updating this KJ Bolden situation and recruitment and his eventual commitment on Saturday religiously in our Discord. If you're not part of that, you are truly missing out. It is a free Discord community that you are more than welcome to join. There are some exclusive channels which you can sign up for once you're in there, but go check out the link in the description and get updates on this, again, probably by the hour, much more regularly than I can do all this setup to get a video together and give you guys an update once or twice a week. Go join us over there. Join about 2,200 FSU fans that are talking Florida State nonstop from about 6 a.m. until 2 a.m. If you missed our jam-packed weekend of recruiting news and conference realignment rumors, you can check all that out by clicking right here.